Hello friends, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new here, my name is AJ and I'm trying to write and publish my first fantasy novel. We have less than 72 hours before November 1st, meaning I have less than 72 hours to make the last minute preparations before the November novel writing challenge is upon us. I don't know if any of you guys have done this, but I've severely procrastinated on some of the preparations I wanted to make before attempting to finish draft 1 of my fantasy novel. I'm going to attempt to do a very basic chapter outline for all 4 parts of my novel in the next 48 hours. I feel like that's probably ill-advised and not the best way to plot or plan a novel. You know, of all the novels that I've started, I've never finished them and I've never outlined them. At least I have a bit of an outline. I just want something more detailed to keep me from staring at a blank page and spiraling into an abyss, not sure where it needs to go and what sort of scene that I want to have. Because blank pages don't write stories. I just want to get a very rough and rapid fire outline off of the scenes that I have planned for my novel, so that if I end up in November coming across an issue or feeling like I don't have a way to go, at least I have a roadmap to keep me going, an idea of the scenes that I need to push the plot and the character along. So I'm bringing you with me today to kind of show you the setup, and I will show you overall what I end up accomplishing by today and tomorrow. So as I prep this, here we go. So I'm going to make a table like this for all 4 parts of my book. Part 2. I don't actually know the number of chapters I'm going to have in each part, but I just put 15 here for now. This is going to be a living document throughout November, so I'm probably going to make some changes to this as I go through the story. But just again, having the roadmap here I think is going to be really helpful for someone like me who can fall into a decision paralysis where I have a lot of ideas for a lot of different scenes, but then I have to sift through and figure out which one is best for the story or which one aligns with the plot. And so rather than taking the mental capacity to do that, I'll have some sort of outline to keep me moving in the right direction. I'm not completely starting from scratch, which is a good thing. I do have these kind of chapters already forming in my parts, which are just the scenes and the parts within the parts that have already been broken down for specific reasons. You can see in part 2 I have a lot more of them, so this will be the first thing that I do, is just take these scenes, take the parts that I've already written, and then transfer them to my outline here. So of course chapter 1 is going to be the beginning, and I'll just let you know now, right now chapter 3 is probably going to have the inciting incident here. I'm not going to fill out the purpose yet. I just want to have this here for when I get feedback or when I look through draft 1 and identify the purpose of a scene, so that everything that I'm putting into the story kind of helps move it along. And this will just be filled out again probably after draft 1 and potentially intermittently. I fear that sometimes I can write a lot of fluff scenes that don't really push anything or add anything other than context. And as much as I might like to put everything that I write into the story, not everything that I write is going to be good for the story overall. So just keeping track of what I want to keep, the purpose of each scene, and understanding if it's like just fluff or if it's something that's important for the character development or for the plot building and the tension. Keeping track of that I think is going to help. Hopefully it's going to help me during the draft 2 and the revision stages. Okay, I'm not going to bore you too much. I'm going to start filling this out, and then I'll probably come back again and let you know how it's going and then show you the final product. Aww. Sometimes I forget that it's a romance subplot. Okay, so it did in fact take me a little longer than a day to go through my chapter outline, but I did get something, and I think it was a pretty quick way to go through and detail the kind of chapters, sections, scenes in each of my parts. So I'm just gonna bring you over really quickly to show you what the final version looks like. And I have redacted the information just in case any of this makes it into the final cut, because I do want to get it published. I don't want to spoil too many things for you guys, but ultimately just to show you that I filled in the information that I plan to cover in each chapter or each section. Now there's not a huge amount of like organization or standardization here, and there will be some chapters that seem smaller than others. So you can see in part 1 there's a lot of information in these chapters, and then it stops here at part 9, which is pretty small. There's probably going to be more chapters as I go ahead, but this is what I have planned out right now. And of course, this is just my mental roadmap. Let me bring you to part 2 so I can show you some of the level of detail that I put into some of these things. Some of them are pretty detailed. Others are just reminders of the types of information that I want to put in there and are kind of like interlude scenes. So you can see I'm coming down. So here, chapter at sea, the perils of weather and testing the Witchstone mast. It doesn't have to be crazy. This is a good enough note for myself that I know what I plan on putting in here. I didn't need to put in like a play-by-play. A, I was running out of time, and B, I just wanted to get my roadmap set up. That's really all I wanted to show you, just my version of how I outlined the chapters for each of my part. Of course, it is by no means perfect, and I know a lot of people have different methods, but this is just my roadmap going into November so that I don't start to spiral out of control. I know I'm going to spiral, but then when that happens, I do have a map for myself, a destination that I'm trying to get to, so I'm not completely lost and staring at a blank page when I feel like I'm just not moving towards anything. Feel free to comment down below some of the preparations you've done going into the novel writing challenges, if you're participating in a challenge, and even if you don't take these steps and are not necessarily like the biggest planner for your novel, I'd like to hear that too. So yeah, thank you so much for stopping by, and happy writing.